Okay, so you're Michael Espinoza. I saw your fundraiser online for a Braille computer, but I have some questions.
Okay, well, hopefully I have some answers for you.
Alright, first up, what the heck is a Braille computer? There are photos on the fundraising page, but it looks like something you picked up from a Star Trek convention or something.
Well, for me, it'd probably be more like a Star Wars convention, but that's neither here nor there. So, the Braille computer is definitely not a piece of sci fi technology. It's more a piece of accessible technology. In fact, that's exactly what it is. The Braille Note, as it's called, is made by the company Humanware. What it is essentially a Braille computer. Instead of a traditional QWERTY keyboard interface, it uses the 6 dots of Braille plus a backspace, enter, and spacebar. And it couples that with a Braille display, which is a network of 32 cells set in a line, and each of those is a sequence of 8 pins that can be raised or lowered to make the appropriate Braille characters. And all the pins can move independently to make a whole line of Braille that's refreshed every time I hit a thumb key, which basically acts as the Braille equivalent of a scroll device, or scroll wheel on another device. And basically that's the sum and substance of what it is. It's a Braille equivalent to a sighted person's computer.
Okay, so what do you need it for? It's not like you work. The government just takes care of blind people with our tax money, right?
I wish. No, while 80% of blind people do struggle to find employment, which is tragic, it's not for lack of effort. We're all always trying to seek employment, better ourselves, better the community, etc., etc. I'm very lucky in that I do have a job. I work at Austin Community College, where I am a writing tutor. I focus chiefly on English essays, but anything that involves writing can be brought to me. I help students by tracking down recurring grammatical errors and helping them learn the appropriate grammar rules so that they can fix the errors on their own. Basically, my end goal is for them to need me less and less each time they come in. And outside of work, I'm also an avid writer. I have a website, barbarianbard.com, where I keep many, many stories, poems, and general musings. And then I have a book out on Amazon right now, an ebook called Blades of Cairndale. And all of those short stories, all of that novel, all of it was written with this Braille note. And then all of my work is done thereon as well. So it's essential for work, it's essential for casual use, and it's just a really pivotal device in my day-to-day life.
So just make a regular computer talk to you. Those are way cheaper.
Well, that's actually kind of a misconception. A regular computer is definitely cheaper. However, a regular PC doesn't come bundled with a very usable screen reader software. If you bought even a relatively low-end computer and then sprung for a screen reader software, that would cost, the software alone would cost $800 to $900. Even if you went with a free option like NVDA versus the more expensive JAWS software, there are still some issues that screen readers present. Mac also has their VoiceOver program, which works very well and is automatically bundled with every device, so you don't pay any extra for the screen reader. However, like I said, screen readers present some issues that people don't anticipate. For example, something that sounds right to a screen reader might not look right to us if we actually get a chance to put our eyes, or in my case, hands, on the essay in question. And to that end, I'll give you a little bit of a demonstration. So for this demonstration, I'm going to have my screen reader here read an essay that is not an actual student essay. It's something that my brilliant friend Kelsey came up with. So this essay is basically just a hypothetical. It tells the fictional story of the writer's efforts to acquire a pet toad, or their desire to do so. Now the screen is off on this computer right now. The idea is I want you guys to hear the screen reader. I want you to hear how it does or doesn't catch errors. And basically, this is your chance to play along at home. Try and see how many errors you can catch when listening to this essay, because that's exactly what I would be doing when I listen to a screen reader versus read it on my Braille note. So turn this into a fun little drinking game. I don't know, have some fun with this, but let's hear this hypothetical essay. Let's see what we can catch, and let's see how good screen readers are at helping English tutors do our jobs.
One morning, I took a bite out of life. Who knows, I could come down with the flu and die one of these days. I needed to make sure my life was not a bore. I went forth and decided that I wanted to buy a pet toad. I really wanted a pet whale, but I do not have a big enough tank. I would have gone for a pet mussel, but my mom might cook him for dinner. I thought about a moose, but it is hunting season, and I did not want him to turn into meat. This toad was pale and plain, but he was still quite the sight. He made my heart soar and feel less lonely. I think it was a great decision. Anyway, it was much better than if I had decided to buy liquor.
Okay, so that was the essay. There were some obviously irregularities in the reading, which could have come from the screen reader, but they might have been some irregular commas or things like that. So let's pull it up on the Braille note, and I'll actually let you guys see it at this point, and we'll see what this essay ends up looking like. So, since not everyone is Braille literate, I have taken the liberty of hooking up a monitor here. The objective here is so that now you guys can see exactly what that essay looked like that we both heard together. And it sounded fine when we heard it. Let's see if it looks fine, shall we? I'm sure it does, though, right? The screen reader's got to be good enough. So let's hear about that toad adventure. One morning, I took a bite out of life. Who knows? Is that a question? Who knows? I could come down, line break with the flu, and die one of these days. Yeah, I think if you came down, everything is wrong with that. I needed to make sure my life was not a bore. Is that something you have to check regularly? I went forth, not first or second, mind you, but forth, and decided that I wanted to buy a pet toad. A pet, toad, I really wanted... This is awful. See, none of this showed up on the screen reader. Did any of you imagine that the essay looked like this when you were hearing it? Because I really didn't. I wanted to buy a pet mussel, but my mom might cook him for dinner. Okay, even conceptually, this is just weird, but also, like, grammatically, it is screwed up beyond reason. None of this showed up on the screen reader. You guys can see how jacked up this essay actually was in reality, and yet I would have never caught any of this with a screen reader. It would have all gone, like, utterly under my radar. Like, better to buy a toad than if I decided to buy liquor. Like, I like that that's one of two choices. Either, hardcore alcoholism or amphibian pet ownership. Like, it's one of those two things. But structurally speaking, this is flawed for a wide array of reasons. And the screen reader is only part of it. Okay, anyway, point being, this is the sort of thing... Sorry, this is awful. It's just so bad. I want to reiterate, my friend is brilliant for coming up with this. It takes intelligence to come up with something this colossally dumb. So this is the exact sort of thing that a screen reader would have missed. I would have let a student out of the lab saying, your essay is a little odd, but overall it's okay. And it would have looked like this. This is why a Braille note is important. And that is the best way I could possibly think to demonstrate it for you.
Wait a minute. Why do you need a Braille computer when you've got one right here?
That's a great question, actually. So I do have one right here. The problem with that one is I've had it since about 2013, and unfortunately the shelf life on these older Braille note models is not so good. So I mentioned the display before, the pin system that moves up and down. Most of those pins have become, or many of them at least, have become jammed, and what that means is they'll either stay up or stay down, no matter what signal they're receiving. So I will get inaccurate letters, because one missing pin can actually change an entire word's meaning. So I won't get an accurate read of any screen I'm looking at. Following from that, many of the touch cursors aren't working properly. The buttons that are used to route the cursor to the appropriate point on the display are not working properly. And basically what that means is, imagine just randomly you're trying to click a button on your computer, but that part of your screen isn't receptive to mouse clicks anymore. That's what that would look like. Some of the keys are sticking as well, which, I mean, you use a computer, you use a keyboard, you probably know exactly what that feels like. If a key sticks, you know, you're going to get some weird inputs. The scroll wheel itself had to be disabled. I had to go into settings and turn it off because it was just scrolling of its own volition and not actually, responding to my commands or lack thereof. And the most pivotal issue is that the thumb keys have 2 of the 4 have stopped working. And that's the equivalent of on your computer, if you try to scroll to the next screen when you're reading something or advance the screen so that you can read more text, it's the equivalent of that just straight up not working anymore. It just doesn't go. So that's a pretty serious set of issues when you add them all together. And so the device just isn't functional anymore in a meaningful way. I can struggle through a very, very short piece of writing with it if I'm reading, but I'm going to miss a lot of information, and I'm going to have to reread the same screen several times to make sure I actually catch the errors and things like that, especially if my job involves looking for inconsistencies. I'm going to have to look through my computer's inconsistencies to try and find the students' inconsistencies. So it's just, unfortunately, it's untenable as a work device. And I hope eventually while I have this new computer, I hope eventually to be able to save up my money at work and send this one off for repairs so that I can save it as a backup, because repaired, it's not going to be fully functional still. They're not going to be able to fix it all the way. I've seen their repairs before, and they just don't fix it all the way. And that's fine. I understand they have limitations. But what that means is I can't just send this one off and be without for a couple of weeks, because it takes at least 4 weeks, no less. First of all, because I'd be without the device, but second of all, because I wouldn't get a fully functional device in return. So what I'm hoping is to have the new computer, to send this one off for repairs eventually, and then have it sit back as a backup, and if anything ever goes wrong or I have to send the other one in for any kind of maintenance, then this one can come out of the shadows and be my backup during the interim, because it would be functional as a backup. But no matter how much they try and fix on it, just at the level of what they're able to do, it's just not tenable to use as a work device or as a casual or career writing device anymore.
Dang. Well, now that I know all that, I definitely want to help support you. How can I help?
Well, that's a great question. What I would say is check out our website, which is youcaring.com/braille4me. Me being my initials, Michael Espinoza, and also, me. And if you go to that page, you'll see a little bit more about my story, about who I am and what I've done and what I hope to keep doing. You'll also see 2 options there that you can donate money, which is always appreciated. It doesn't matter if it's 5, 10, however many dollars, the smallest to the largest donation, they all count, they all matter, they all push me a little bit closer to my goal, and so I really appreciate it. If you can give anything at all, that is just so incredible, and I really, really, really appreciate it. If you can't, that's fine. There's still totally a way you can help. The second option is to share the link. You can share it on Facebook, on Twitter, on any of your social media. You can write down the URL, the youcaring.com/braille for me, and give it to your friends. It doesn't matter. However you get more eyes on the campaign, that's the way to help. If you donate, you can also share. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive. But whatever you can do to get more eyes on the campaign will always help me, because more eyes equals more people who are possibly willing to donate. And the more we break up the burden of donation, the smaller the donations have to be for each individual person. If every one person gives a very small amount, but there are a lot of people giving, it all comes together to one shiny new Braille note that will keep me employed, that will keep me efficient, and above all, will keep me independent. And it's also going to keep me eternally grateful. I will definitely be posting a very tearful thank you video / unboxing of the new device video. So thank you all so much in advance, and just look forward to a big, just ecstatic thank you video from me when we hit our goal, because I got a feeling we're going to get there way sooner than I ever would have expected, because everyone's generosity is just blowing me away. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. I'll definitely make sure to visit. Good luck on your campaign.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.